Assalamu alaikum wa
Assalamu alaikum wa
rahmatullahi wa
rahmatullah.
barakatuh. A very warm welcome to all our viewers and listeners this morning from the Mid Morning Show with myself, Nafisa Dangle. Of course, we're going to entice you into better places and spaces, and of course, uplift, empower, and sustain you, but also discussing relative educational topics that pertain to your everyday lives to be able to change that quality of your life and try and better it by giving you those pointers in getting the relative people on our show. So let's give you a breakdown of what you can expect. But before we do that, I wanted to talk about something that I thought was really important and very relative to the type of situation that we're finding ourselves in with COVID 19, the riots, and of course, our normal everyday challenges. And there was something that I read on fearless motivation, and this is what it says: it's a mindset. Winning or losing in life is a mindset. Because the only way you can truly win or lose in life takes place in your mind. If you think positively or negatively about life, it's a mindset and a choice. Whether you think positively or negatively about yourself, it's a mindset and a choice. And I so agree with this particular should we say, little anthology that's been written to entice us into a better space. It gets us thinking about, and in so many directions, about the way we think ourselves and the way we perceive about ourselves. So I think we've got to take that negative and start changing it into the positive. And that's where we come in this morning, where we're going to talk about relative topics to try and help you and bring out the positive in you so that you can bring out the best in yourself. So before we go further, let me give you a breakdown of what you can expect on the show today. So you can grab a cup of coffee, sit down, and should we say, get empowered and uplifted. We're going to start off with Reg Pakari, and he's going to be talking to us about planting seeds of positive thoughts in the minds of children and teachers. Reg is the founder of Signs of Positivity, and he's going to tell us more about that initiative in a bit. Followed by that, we're going to be, of course, talking to our authors from Taxi through Mzansi, a very phenomenal anthology discussing relative issues that people face in Mzansi through this anthology. And each one has a bit, describing a particular aspect that we encounter in our lives. So the two authors we're going to be speaking to today is Feroza Lee and Khadija Magda Lokat. So look forward to that. And then after that, we're going to be talking to Harmony Moshite. It's Basadi Ba Moshito, the NPO. They're committed to providing support services to women across all ages, race groups, and denominations. And Harmony is going to be giving us more background on the types of work and empowerment that they're doing. And then last but not least, we're going to be speaking to Brother Dries Kamisa about, he's a life coach and trainer, and he's going to be unpacking the importance of premarital counseling and the benefits thereof, which I think is absolutely imperative. So there's some really interesting topics this morning. So do join us, stay with us, get involved with what we're doing. And if you'd like to send in some information or you'd like to contribute towards the show, then get onto our Facebook Live page and contribute in some way. Stick with us. We're going to be back with Reg after this break.
Kiki's have now reopened on 235 Matthews Maiwa Road in Durban. Head on over for the Taste with Kik. We offer something scrumptious for everyone in the family. Wraps, chicken tikka, burgers, tender grills, mocktails, milkshakes, and so much more. Corporate and events catering available. Visit our social media pages for more info or call 031 209 0119. Kiki's, the Taste with Kik.
Little bare feet on the icy wet ground, a shiver at his lips, mud on his clothes. When he is cold, the hunger is worse, the nights are longer, and the pain is more severe. What if this was your child? The Al Imdad Foundation's Global Winter Appeal allows you to make a difference for refugees, IDPs, and struggling communities in 21 countries globally. Sponsor a winter pack today for just 600 Rand. Donate online at alimdad.com or call 0861 786 243.
For a long time, we've lived in a centralized world, where institutions held the all-important data and confirmed all transactions. Those times are over. Welcome to Libertas Group, a blockchain development company boasting an ecosystem that continually redefines the way we do business. Our blockchain is decentralized, making it immune to hacking or alteration, putting the power back in your hands with no middleman so you can focus on the growth of your business. Libertas, the simplest investment choice you'll make.
Shimmer, sparkle, captivate. Nothing less than a masterpiece. Droplets of gold inspires precious design. Platinum bursts with intricate freshness. And every pure diamond becomes more than just a girl's best friend. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, where timeless dreams become a reality. Come to us. We tailor-make designer gold, platinum, and diamond jewelry. Trade in or remodel your old gold. Clad yourself with classy name-branded watches. We offer insurance valuation and freezer card calculation. Visit us at 534 Ridge Road, Overport, or call 031 208 9142. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, manufacturers of fine gold and diamond jewelry.
Your act of love gives hope. Islamic Relief supports orphans and vulnerable children in 28 countries with food, education, and medical care. There are more than 150 million orphans in the world. You can give hope to one. Sponsor an orphan today. Go to www.islamic-relief.org.za.
Rejuvenating media day by day. This is Salam Media.
Welcome back to the show, and a very interesting one this morning. And I'm going to be speaking to a phenomenal gentleman. Now, let me just tell you about the story. I found it rather interesting when I started reading it last night. A reverend, a rabbi, a Hindu priest, and a Muslim youth leader walk into a school. No, really, they walked into Parkview Senior School in Johannesburg in agreement of one thing. In order to make it through life, a person needs a positive mind, which I just spoke about when I started. These leaders met at the school to launch Signs of Positivity, an initiative developed by Reg Pakari, the managing member of WAC Art and Design. And he's going to talk to us about this initiative, which aims to instill signs with positive messaging in schools in South Africa to plant seeds of positive thought in the minds of children from all walks of life in an attempt to change communities and South Africa for the better, which I think is absolutely phenomenal. A very good morning to you, and thank you so much for taking the time to join us out on the show this morning.
Thank you, Nafisa, and thank you for having me.
A very interesting intro, I must say. It sounds like, those little shows in the movies where you get those positive enticements. But it's so nice to see that, people from all walks of life have gotten together to be able to come together for something that really matters, and it's positivity. And I think this word is so key in our lives because it pertains to everything that we do. But before we do that, what enticed you into this? And tell us a little bit about yourself.
Nafisa, I'm a graphic designer by trade, but I've spent quite a bit of time in the signage industry. And my wife's an educator as well, so somehow those three things converged. And with my wife being an educator, understanding the system, the schooling system, my signage background, and my design ability have come together to culminate into this project. But through conversations with my wife, I realized that there are gaps in the system, in the overall system, between parents and children and teachers and kids at school. And I've always been solution orientated. So I thought that this would be a way to solve the problems, but in a passive way, because I also know that schools don't always have the time for workshops and getting. Even the photo shoots that we had were quite intense and rushed, and so this is a constant kind of passive reminder to people to just maintain a positive outlook on life. I myself am a positive person, so it came naturally to me.
I absolutely love the idea. I mean, if you look at it, if you look at the curriculums of the schools at the moment, and I spoke to somebody last week with regard to this, as the importance of bringing out a holistic person from an educational point of view is not just through education and teaching them mathematics and English and Afrikaans and those kind of things, but also teaching them about life and the type of life skills that they need to take with them. And I absolutely love your idea about this positivity, because in many instances, I think we don't realize that also through this COVID-19 period, the kids have been affected as much. I think we've been paying a lot of attention to the adults as such. And I'm really happy that this particular gap has been bridged through yourself and the other individuals that are involved, to be able to make changes in people's lives and make them understand that through positivity, there's so many things that you can really achieve.
Yes. So if I really think about why Science of Positivity was created, it's really a long-term plan where I envision a better world in the future, but in order to do that, you've got to change the minds of people now, of youngsters now. And that was the real driver behind this. And so children, it made sense to almost get hold of children while they're still learning, while their minds are still malleable, plant these seeds, and they'll essentially do whatever they need to do with the seeds. I've also realized that you can't force somebody to do something that they don't want to do.
Yeah, but on that note, Reg, I so agree with you, because the thing is, what I've noticed is what you inculcate in them when they're young is what they grow up with, and it becomes habitual. It's something that is ingrained in you, which I think is absolutely important. So it's nice to see that this is happening from that particular age group. So they grow up with that particular mindset. They grow up with those types of thoughts to say that I can as opposed to I can't, or I can entice somebody else into a better space from what I'm thinking. So I think it's absolutely a phenomenal thing, and it should be inculcated as part of a curriculum of the life skills section that they have at the school, to be able to make the education system understand the importance of positivity and what it means.
Yes, so to add to that, often people would refer to these lessons as the soft lessons, and they consider the academic part of it as the real stuff that people need to learn. But we do know that, I don't know if it's an accurate description to call these soft lessons. They're actually the hard lessons, because they actually build stronger human beings who can then fit into any system, whether it be the academic system or the corporate system or any system. It's about just strengthening
So
them.
paint us a picture. What is it that you do when you go into the schools? Because I'm looking at the background that you're sitting on, and I'm trying to, while I'm chatting to you, get a bit of a grasp of what's written there, because there's some loads of positivity written on that wall, which is actually enticing me to want to read and get inspired in some way. So give us the take on what you do when you actually go into those schools, and what is it that you do for them.
So what's quite interesting, I mean, there's a quote that's gone up into the schools that says, everything begins with an idea. And this really started as a seed in an idea. And because my wife's an educator, it made sense to start at the school that she was teaching at, just because there was a relationship. I've always done little things for the schools, design banners and things for events. So it made sense, and we're not far from the school. So from a travel perspective, it made it easy for me to access the school. But when I do go into schools, it's a matter of showing I had to kind of lay out some money, produce a few actual signs, and show the principals, the signs themselves. And it was an immediate connection. It wasn't a difficult sell to the schools themselves, because they're getting the science for free, but they also know the value of these lessons that are being taught. So yes, it was presenting to the teachers, presenting to the principals, getting their feedback, particularly during this pilot phase, because I didn't quite know whether the quotes that I was using were relevant, as relevant as they should be. I extracted some that I thought that I resonated with. And also, I've got a 9-year-old daughter, so something that I thought would resonate with her. And so, one could say that I curated these quotes, but the schools also have an opportunity to submit quotes that they think is relevant. I mean, there was at Parktown Girls, one of the teachers asked for a quote that said, "Be curious, not judgmental."
Wow.
And I was able to fit that into the production run, and so we fitted that in. So yes, it's still a work in progress. But the quotes that I've chosen, I think, just from a personal perspective, would make a bit of an impact. Some children, I mean, in grade 1 or grade R, wouldn't necessarily be able to read that. But a very nice story that I got from a teacher as these signs went up was that a child ran into the class and said, "Did you see all these colorful signs?" And grabbed the teacher and ran to the sign and said, "What does it say?" And that was an opportunity for the teacher to then read it out and explain what it meant. You'll see a quote behind me that says, "Never give up without a fight."
Yes.
And I met one of the teachers at Parkview Senior, and she said, what she did was she didn't put all the signs up at once. She puts up one at a time, and then explains it, because the children sometimes think that fighting, they take the fighting aspect of it literally.
Yes.
So
that's
she
true.
unpacks it and she kind of explains to them that it's not physical fighting.
Yeah. I think that's so phenomenal, because what happens is it actually changes the perspective and the way the children are thinking. Because, like you say, there's that norm and there's that particular mindset that is happening in every single school. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but we can entice it into even a better thing. The teachers are doing such phenomenal jobs with trying to help the kids, of course, especially now during this COVID-19 period, to give them that support structures. But what you're doing, I think, is grand. I went to a school in Lenasia a while ago, and that's what I found on their staircase. And I thought to myself, wait a minute, it got me going, because it got me to read every little thing as I was climbing the staircase. And it got me thinking about the psychology behind it, because what happened was, as I was climbing, it's almost like you're lifting yourself up. As you're reading, you're just reading something better all the time to entice you into that space. When I got to the top of the staircase, I was in a totally different mindset to when I started at the bottom. So it really goes to show that what you're doing can make a major difference and a major impact. And I think a lot of the times, as parents, on a general consensus, we look at the life skills subject on a very light matter, not realizing the importance of that particular aspect of life. It teaches the kids about life. It teaches them about the importances and the relevancies that they would take with them. I've seen it with my son. I mean, he's postgraduate university now, but when he was at school, we'd always say, "But why do you have to do life skills? What for?" And people on a general basis would ask, why do the kids need to do that? But when you look deeper into it, and you look at the types of holistic individuals, and that's what the school are trying to produce now, is these holistic individuals that when they go out into the real world, they're literally ready to face it, due to the fact that they've been given the possible, life skills that matter. And I think what you're doing is absolutely pertinent to that particular aspect, because it creates a holistic person. It changes completely the way they see life and the way they see things and how they can interact each other. And of course, uplift each other. That's what it's about, through positivity.
Yes, and also interact with themselves. One of the quotes says, "Love yourself." And I think that particular aspect of living is so underestimated, because there's so many people who question themselves and question who they are.
Of course.
And I came across something not so long ago that said, "You are enough. You are enough." And it's about appreciating who you are, knowing who you are, where you're at. And look, this is not a new concept. I mean, teachers have been doing this for years. I can't take complete credit for it. And I can't say that, this project has arrived where it's arrived purely on my own kind of steam. lots of support along the way. I mean, Parkview Junior, Senior, and Parktown Girls just receiving it with open arms, being accommodating. It was quite, because we had to take the children out of classes to do the photo shoots and that kind of thing. So, but teachers have been doing this for many years. I mean, putting up A4 pieces of paper in their classes. So the thinking is there, the teachers are there, but sometimes the system doesn't always allow for teachers to focus on some of these important things.
Let's talk about the support structure that work, art, design and design has done, and also bringing in the businesses, because it's so important to see businesses getting involved with education. And allowing kids to actually, better themselves as far as their holistic beings are concerned. And this is being done through, of course, putting up these relevant signs and hooking up with businesses to be able to create those sponsorships to assist you to be able to get those messages out there.
So, yes, because of the insight that I have into the schooling system, the slight insight that I have, I do know that budgets are often quite limited. And the sponsorship element, I mean, with what was really a way to counteract that hurdle that I would encounter. So it was easy just to say, okay, I'll sell these signs to the schools, but if the schools don't have money, then we lose the opportunity of planting these seeds.
True.
And St. Columbus Presbyterian Church out in Parkview has been in the community for 100 years, and they just jumped on board as to continue their support. Most of these businesses are connected to the schools. Parker's Paint and Art has a long-standing relationship with Parktown Girls. So does the Perfect Cup, which is based in Parkview, and the BP at Zoo Lake is the filling station for the schools. So they. It also wasn't a very hard sell to those businesses, because I'm assuming that a lot of the owners have been through tough times themselves,
sure,
and have sustained themselves through something similar, to signs of positivity, and understand the impact that it can have on people. So yes, I'm extremely grateful for them jumping on board, as well as the schools. Yeah.
Rish, what sort of feedback have you gotten from the schools? What has this done? I mean, I'm sure there have been some forms of impact as far as this is concerned.
Yes. So I spoke to the head girl of Parktown Girls, and she, it's sometimes just something as simple as making a change in the classroom. She spoke about something that they, it was such a nice change from the maths posters that they looked at.
Right.
And it was quite intentional that the indoor signs were made in black and white, because the high contrast helps it stand out from all the other colorful things that are in the class. So there's so many layers to this that I'm still unpacking myself. It's just so exciting and overwhelming at the same time, because as you speak to people, you realize there's something new that it brought to their spaces that you didn't think of. For me, it was just as simple as creating something that would uplift somebody.
You've just done that, because I've been reading all over the place there while chatting to you, and it says, let's be the reason someone smiles today, and I think you just did that for me.
I love that. Yes, I love that. And I'm often, I mean, if you speak to anybody that knows me, I was always the class clown. In fact, you're speaking about lens. I actually, what somebody would say that the natural thing to do is start at the schools that you were at. But I actually started at Parkview Junior, because it was the closest school to me, and thank goodness for that, because there was a lot of traveling and back and forth, and but yes, I went to Azara Secondary, and I mean I'll be going there soon. So yes, just to kind of talk about just giving back to the communities. Yeah, sorry, I lost you there. I tend to do.
Okay.
I tend to do that. Sorry.
Reg, wait,
Yes.
hold on. We have a caller on the line. Let's take this
Sure.
caller.
Sure.
Assalamu alaikum.
MashaAllah. Very interesting topic always, education. And it just brings to mind something that I think you talking about positivity and life skills. Way back in between 70s and 80s, they assessed the education systems in the world. And the one that came out top has got me worried with this fees must fall guys who all went for degrees and so on. I hope they all get jobs, inshallah. But the system that came out tops was you used to get the kids going to cooling factories and cheese factory visits. They did it the other way around. They had a big hall where all the old artisans, even up to people that were doing, medicine and so on, were all slotted where people could come and visit them. They brought the kids in. The kids would have numbers on them, and there would be a monitor walkway slightly, up on the side of the hallway, so they could monitor the kids and see where do they go to every time they come and visit, and where they frequent. Then they know and they monitor their child. They talk to their parents and so on, consult with them, and they tell them your child is more interested in plumbing or engineering or medicine or so on, and they also then assess the child to see if he is varsity material, because if he's not, there's pointless going to send the child to varsity into academic streams instead of letting him go to technicon. And they did a beautiful thing is they took the matriculant subjects and they got rid of the subjects that did not have the trade theory of that particular artisanship in there. They put that in there, they put the maths and so on, whatever was coupled in there, and they put these matric subjects in such a way that when he comes out of matriculant, he is theoretically already an artisan, and during that matriculant time, he also goes to do practicals. So you have a matriculant that is an artisan at the same time. He doesn't have to go to 3-4 years technicon after that. You see, now that was the Russian system, but I don't know if we are doing the same thing, because we clip another 4 years on, either if you do technicon or if you're going to do a varsity after matriculant, whereas you could do the whole job finish with maybe just 1 or 2 years added to matric, and the guy's done, and he can get into his, his earning stage.
Yes, I agree with you, Brian, there. But what do you think of Reg's? I think his positivity is really making a difference. If you speak to some of the kids in the schools and to see them, how their mindsets have changed, I agree with you to try and look at that concept. But I think this concept is really great because it gets people thinking, like you say, on a positive level and makes them tap into their potential. So I so agree with what you say.
Well, can I add something else to that? Which
Yeah,
I
sure.
think you've observed many times, many years back already. I sat one day thinking I'm going to write a book called Teaching at the Speed of the Mind. And I still got that on the computer. What I've looked at is because when in the old days, in our parents' days, we used to lot go to bioscopes and movies and so on. And even when we went, you sat there for a double feature movie, which is clearly 2 hours and 2 hours, and you were telling those movies to your friends, even the dialogue, for about a week after that, if it impressed you. And we also watch the Indian movies, which is intermission and all that. Now, you can compare that to documentaries. And that is learning at the speed of the mind. Audio-visual.
Yeah.
So I think we really need to revisit this education story.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I think Reg is doing a brilliant job with actually getting kids to change their mindset, which I think is important
Okay.
because sometimes as
Assalamualaikum.
parents, we tend to miss out on that factor. I mean, we try and encourage them as much as we can. But of course, the school ad hocs to it in many directions. And if that's what's happening through Reg's initiative.
Okay. Assalamualaikum.
Well, Alaikum Salam, Jazakallah for your call. So, Reg, coming back to you, I get what Ibrahim is saying, is that he agrees with what you are doing and he agrees with the concept. And he's saying that, like in our days, we had these little mentors that would come behind us and help us find our direction. And they're still around and you still get those mentors, and people like yourselves are the mentors. But I suppose because the generation has changed, the concept of the way we do things had to change, and we get to get adaptable to what people relate to, what the young people relate to. And I think this particular aspect of it works really well because kids take note of this. They don't have time. They love their laptops and their iPads and technology, but it's so nice to see that these little words go such a long way. I think it's absolutely phenomenal. What would you like to leave us with today? Because I think what you're doing is absolutely striking. I'm hoping to see this in every single school in South Africa real soon, because every time that we talk on our show, and I don't know if you were listening, when I started off, I spoke about mindset. It was something that I read on Fearless Motivation. And I think just those little words go such a long way. Like, if you notice somebody's in such a deep down situation and you just, give them that few words of consolation or few words of edging on in a positive sense, it changes the way they think drastically.
Yes. Yeah, so I mean, just to touch on what Ibrahim said and how it links up to Science of Positivity, I think what he was talking about taking a creative approach to the education system, and this is also it ties in with Science of Positivity because it's a creative way of getting something through that's been done over many years, but just a different way of doing it. And to to just kind of leave you with my final kind of statement is that the project is really driven by the schools and the sponsors, because if we don't have schools signing up, we don't have any schools to put them into, and the sponsors obviously pay for the science. So on our Facebook page, Science of Positivity SA, there are 2 forms that are available to schools and sponsors. And if people sign up, if schools sign up, if principals are listening, if they could sign up and we could put them on a list, and I would then come to the area, find businesses that might want to sponsor the school for a bit of brand exposure, because it's really a win-win. The sponsor gets a bit of brand exposure and gets their brand known. The schools get free signs, and I, as a business, generate an income and jobs. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. So it is definitely a win-win situation. I want to thank you so much for inspiring us this morning should we say, we started off on a really grand note because you've taken us onto a positive note already. So I'm looking forward to the rest of the show because you've already enticed me through many of those little should we say, connotations that you've written on your wall. And of course, chatting to you as well has inspired me to think about many directions of how we can change and get adaptable to what we do. Thank you so much. A true inspiration. All the best going forward. And I'm hoping we can tap into you soon to hear that you have gotten many other schools involved in doing this as well. And I would love to bring it to the school's attention. So maybe we need to start an initiative there. But thank you so much. All the best going forward. And God bless.
But thank you for having me, Nafisa. And I'm extremely grateful for this opportunity. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure. Take care.
You too.
That was Reg Pakari, definitely enticing us to think about the way we're changing the mindsets of our kids through education by putting up those little quotations, and that gets them thinking and enticing them into, should we say, a really positive space. Stay with us. We'll be back with our authors.